Hi, it's me, your sister Queen Consuela, and I know it has been a moment. And my deepest apology, I did not go live at all last week, and I really honestly just realized that today. So, what I'm going to do today, last week I went on my Instagram and my Facebook and I asked a few questions for people, and I'm going to answer those questions this week because how do I expect people to share if I'm not willing to share? I answered a couple of them, but I'm going to go into a little more detail with it today. So before we get started, go ahead, subscribe, like, and share this with someone. And if you haven't done so already, put your notification on so you can catch me when I go live instead of always having to catch the replay. So for now, let's get started. So the first question I asked was, what was the first thing that attracted you to your spouse? One day I'm going to have to share the story of how I really met my spouse. But the first thing, even from way back when, that attracted me to him was his eyes. I loved his eyes. But when you hear the backstory of our relationship, you're going to be like, okay, Sister Queen, you was tripping. I don't get it. But his eyes, when I first met him, and it wasn't an attraction like what it is today, like in love with my husband. It was more of I just loved his eyes. But when me and him reconnected, the first thing I noticed about him was his muscles. And I was like, whoa, I think I kind of see myself in his arms. And you know, if for those who doesn't know, I am 14 years older than my husband. So when we connected, it was legal, okay? But yeah, that's the first thing I noticed was his muscles. I noticed how, strong he was, and I was like, I think I can get with that. Um, the next question I asked was, if you had the opportunity to redo your marriage, would you? So, those of you who know the drama, the trauma that has been going through my marriage know that in the beginning, no. If you'd have asked me this question at the beginning of this year, like in January of this year, I would have said, nah, I wouldn't have married him. Because originally I was not supposed to marry him. When I heard in the spirit of all the things that he would do, what I did was, because my relationship with God wasn't strong, I kind of took it to him, and he assured me that he wouldn't do the things that he's done. But yet he did them. So basically, yeah, I wouldn't have did it all over again. But based on my experience and my relationship with God and where we are today, I probably would answer that I would have took a little more time just to see and to really kind of explore what God had intended for me. And then I would have been able to see the things I couldn't see then. I would have been able to see his attitude. I'd have been able to see his demeanor. I'd have been able to see how he handles situations. That was something I didn't take the time to see because a lot of things didn't arise that would have pulled the things that I've seen recently out. So I would have delayed my marriage some to make sure I was making the right decision. So the next question I asked was, do you have any challenges in your marriage? And if so, how often? You all know I have challenges in my marriage. That is how I became the kingdom relationship specialist, because I learned how to take it to God and let him give me the strategy to handle the situations that I'm in. So, yes, I have challenges in my marriage. I don't have them as often as I used to because when we first got married, I had challenges all the time. Like literally, I don't even, I can't even honestly say that a day went by that we didn't have a challenge. And the only time we didn't have a challenge was when we were both drunk or high. So that's to let y'all know that your girl did used to do some things. Um, but even then, I felt like this is not something I wanted. So I did have a challenge within myself. So even if the challenge wasn't with him, I had a challenge within myself because I felt like I was doing things to make my marriage work. I felt like I was doing things that I didn't really want to do, just so that we can have that connection. So yeah, I have challenges, but my challenges are fewer now because I don't engage in a lot of things. So I don't feel a challenge within my marriage the way I used to. But that's not to say I don't feel a challenge in my marriage quite a few times. So the next question I asked was name one expectation you had about marriage and realized you was way off. The expectation I had about marriage was that it was just a piece of paper and that what we was experiencing prior to marriage would just flow over into marriage. Now, for those of you that it does, kudos to you. I am so happy for you. However, for me, it didn't work like that. And I think part of me knew that it wouldn't because I have experienced people in my past that says when you get married, things change. And I was like, nah, I don't think so. Well, it wasn't so much that things changed when I got married. It's just a lot was revealed when I got married. And it was revealed because I didn't take time prior to marriage to see those things. I saw everything through rose colored glasses. I thought that this was meant to be because I felt like everything was just perfect. It was like a dream come true when we first got together. Yeah, we had a couple of little issues. However, it didn't. It was no big deal. It was. And believe me, when I tell you the story, which I will tell you soon, you're going to see it really was a big deal. But when you're blinded, you tend to look past those big issues, those big red flags, and just move forward anyway. So yes, that was one expectation. I thought things was gonna be the same. We was gonna be just this happy couple, regardless, married. Yeah. Okay. Anywho, so I also asked the question, what was one thing you wish you knew prior to getting married, whether it was about your spouse or about marriage in general? I didn't come from a family where my mom and my dad were married to each other. They were married, but not to each other. My dad was still with his wife. My mom was separated from her husband. So I was already in this, broken marriage. Prior to getting married, I wish I would have knew um, what to do to maintain a healthy marriage. I wish I'd have known how to get healed prior to marriage, before entering into a marriage, making sure that I was healed and making sure that my husband was healed as well. So that when we enter into a marriage, we would have entered into a healthy marriage instead of a dysfunctional marriage, instead of what I see on the daily, just dysfunction in relationships. But as long as you stick with each other, then things are okay, which is not the case. Because if you are with someone and you're not healed, if that person isn't healed as well, that's two broken people coming together, just cutting each other up with broken pieces and blood just all over the place. And instead of someone saying, hey, we need to go to the hospital and get healed up, we just wipe the blood up and just keep it moving. That's basically what my marriage started like. And now that I'm healed, I pray for my husband's healing. And what I do is I'm going to the hospital in the spirit realm and trying to say, hey, look, he needs help. And I believe God will help him. I believe God will heal this marriage and we will have a healthy marriage. And one thing I wish I'd have known about my husband is how angry he was. Because when me and my husband first got together, he wasn't angry. But as time went on, he was real angry. So I wish I'd have known how angry he was so that we can find out why he was so angry. Then I asked a question. It says, your husband wants to have a date night with you. Which would you rather, a night out or a quiet evening in? I would probably take the night out because we have a lot of quiet evenings in, and it is so quiet that he is in his world and I am in my world, and we are quietly apart from each other. So a quiet evening in is not exactly what I would desire to have. We've had times when we tried to spend quiet evenings inside and distractions happen, phone calls and stuff. I would rather a night out where we can really engage with each other and I guess start all over and get to know each other again and allow him to get to know the new me, the one that is healed. So that's what I would do. And then here's one that's very interesting. It says, honestly, I appreciate when my husband takes time just to appreciate me, when he helps me around the house. I'm not one that asks for much. I don't need the jewelry. I don't need the money, the fine. I appreciate when he helps me and when he appreciates me. So that, and listen, it's not often. He's done a lot better recently. So I have grown to appreciate him a lot more. And then I also appreciate him working hard to just make sure we have a roof over our head. Because people, it's hot out there. Your girl don't work no more. And when I did, I was in the office. But there are times, like, believe it or not, I relax more and enjoy cutting my yard, like doing yard work in my backyard. He takes care of the front yard. I take care of the backyard. And recently I went out there and it was hot. And I was like, you know what? I appreciate this man getting up in the morning and going to work in the heat. So I do. I appreciate that. And that was pretty much it. I think that was all I asked. So, like I said, I was not going to be before you long. I just wanted to answer the questions that I asked others, because how fair is it of me to ask you a question and I'm not willing to answer it? So I hope that this was enlightening for you. And like I said, one day I will have to share the story of how I originally met my husband. I think I'm going to do that for like a private group. I'm not going to do that live. But it is a very interesting story. And I will give you all an opportunity to hear that story. And I will share that with you soon. So for now, I hope you have a wonderful and blessed day. And I will see you later. Until then, bye for now.